Where uncertainty thrives, conspiracy lies. And that lies in more ways than one. I think this is a bit like an all-you-can-eat buffet. If you don't like Ten Hag, you can find a reason to be happy about this. And if you do like Ten Hag, you can find a reason to be positive about this. So where are we at? Because the video I did earlier was based on, I had to go and get my hair cut, so I put it out for 11 o'clock. And I'd been told he was signing a new contract, so I assumed it was 3 years. I was wrong. It was not a 3-year contract. He's been given a 1-year extension on the contract he already has. So what's gone on at Manchester United? They've flown out to Ibiza. They were sacking him. They weren't sacking him. They're now keeping him. They're giving him a new contract. They're not giving him a new contract. What's going on? What's going on? And I think actually, as with many things, it's very obvious and clear what is going on. And we're going to get the best of both worlds. I think everybody gets a bit of something like that buffet. If you're a Ten Hag outer, you've got a few crumbs on your table that you can lick up and pretend that he's going to get the sack by Christmas. And if you're a Ten Hag inner, you can go, I know exactly what's happening here. We're building for the future, and it's about what happens in this first year. Now, I'll take you back to last May when there was real big talk of sacking Ten Hag. And I said, big mistake. Even if they want to sack him, I'd give him another year because it's a 3-year project. See what happens in year 3. And also, the managerial market is rubbish. It'll be a lot better next summer. So even on that, you could say it's not a bad idea just to keep the extension. What's happened? Why has it happened? And I think, first of all, we can look at that because what I would say is, for anybody out there who is a Ten Hag outer and saying, oh yeah, it's very clear he's going to get the sack, it's actually very clear he's not going to get the sack. It's very, very clear that you don't bring in Xerxes, De Ligt, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rennie Heck on big contracts if you're sacking the manager in 12 months. They're all Ten Hag's people. So why would you spend all this money that they're going to spend over the next few weeks on what are very clear Ten Hag targets to sack him in a year? That's not what's going on here. I think there's something that's very, very obviously going on here. But what is going on? So Erik Ten Hag's contract expires at the end of next year. The contract that he signed with with Richard Arnold and everybody else, that expires at the end of next year. So something had to be done. But there was a +1 on there, an option to add another year on. And that is what Ineos have done. They've taken the option of adding another year on now. So he has got 2 years left on his original contract. That's what they've done. They've extended the current contract. This is not a new contract. This is an extension of the current contract. So he's got 2 years now. Now, admittedly, next summer we'll be in the same situation. You can never let a manager go into the final year. So we've basically got this 12-month period where Ten Hag, Ineos and their plans work. And then they work on a new contract. What I've been told, and you can take it or leave it, but it makes total sense to me, is Manchester United and Ineos were looking to sack Ten Hag. Obviously, they were talking to other managers. They then decided they wanted to stick with Ten Hag, and that was at the start of June. They then decided that they've got to get moving, and contract negotiations with Ten Hag are not going to get done in a month, because there's things Ineos don't want in there and there's things Ten Hag does want in there. And contract negotiations can carry on for a number of months. And Manchester United, Ineos and Ten Hag needed to do something now because they didn't want him in his last year. So they've activated the year and discussions will be revisited around a new contract because obviously Ten Hag has the veto on transfers and he'll have that for the next 2 years. So I think what's happened here is quite clear. They would be possibilities for Ten Hag to sign a new long-term contract, but that's going to take quite a while. It's going to be quite protracted. So I don't see this as a negative. I really, really don't see it as a negative. As I said, I think there will be people out there going, oh, he's not been given a new contract. They're going to sack him. If they wanted to sack him, they would have sacked. I don't understand the people saying they're going to sack him. That's why they've only given him another year, because they intend to sack him. If they wanted to sack him, they would have sacked him. I don't know everything about Ineos. You don't know everything about Ineos. But I think anybody with a brain knows they spent a long time reviewing and deciding whether to sack him or not. And they decided not to. If they wanted to sack him, many people felt it was the easiest option. They've taken the path less trodden. So if they wanted to sack him, they would have sacked him. And look, I agree. I completely agree. We are this is not going to shut down the Ten Hag brigade. You know, they're still going to live in their fantasy world that they want us to lose and they want him out. This is not going to stop certain journalists. They've already written those articles. So, you know, they're already writing about uncertainty and gaps in the market and being on trial. And I was driving over to get my haircut today, and the radio, you know, I could feel the tears rushing through the radio. They're gutted about this, and they're already starting on with, well, you know, what does that show? It doesn't show any backing of the manager at all. And I'm like, hold on a minute. If you're not intelligent enough to move past your bitter agenda towards our manager, then sit down and Goldbridge will tell you a story. Ineos have chosen to go with Ten Hag. They're not bloody idiots. They're Ineos. They're not idiots. You don't keep a guy that you're planning on sacking in 12 months. Bring in the likes of Ruud van Nistelrooy, René Heck, De Ligt, Xerxes. You just don't spend a load of money. If you're getting a new car in a year, you don't keep the car that you've got and start putting new wheels on it, new engines and everything like that. We're spending a lot of money on this project. And I think it's very, very clear that whilst I'm pleased for the Ten Hag out brigade, that they've got a few crumbs that they can chew on, I think the obvious thing here is they can't sort a contract out in a month. So they've extended by a year, and they will discuss that contract over the coming 12 months. If everything goes right, well, if everything goes bad, look, you know, let's play devil's advocate here. If everything goes well, Ten Hag will get his new contract. If everything goes bad, Ten Hag will get sacked. So, but if Arne Slot at Liverpool does well, he'll be in a job next year. If he does shit, he'll be out of a job. Like, what's new about that? Manager does really bad, gets the sack. Manager's really well, he stays. And I think that what I'm focused on here is, and I'd be interested to get some of your thoughts, what I'm focused on here is that it's just very, very obvious that the plan is to be successful. The plan is not to sabotage and be unsuccessful. This is not a cost-cutting exercise. If they sack him next summer, they'll still pay the same as what they would have paid this summer, because he's got a 9 million release clause. He'll still have a year left on his contract. So if they wanted to sack him, they'd have sacked him, because next summer it'll cost them the same as it would have cost them this summer, because he would have only had a year left on his contract in May, and he'll only have a year left in his contract next year. So if we wanted to sack him to save money, that's a flawed argument. If they're keeping him because they want somebody else, that's a flawed argument, because you wouldn't bring Ruud van Nistelrooy in, you wouldn't bring De Ligt in, you wouldn't give him what he wants and then be stuck with De Ligt with 4 more years left on his contract and a new manager going, I didn't want him in the first place. This is very, very clearly a move to be successful. I think it's the best of both worlds, I would admit that. But I think it's a positive step. I think it's total and utter support for the manager and the vision that they have collectively. But I also agree there is a get out in a year's time if it doesn't work. And Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos, and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.